Welcome to episode 43 of the 24-Hour Hustle Show, and today we got special guest, head chef and owner of Roux Orleans, Mike Barnes. Welcome to the 24-Hour Hustle Show. I'm your host, Anthony Freeze, and this is the show where we get the opportunity to sit down with amazing guests and find out about their stories, their struggle, and also their 24 hours. If this is the very first time you are finding out about us, definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell to get these notifications every single time we post. And today we got special guest Mike Barnes on the 24-Hour Hustle Show, where we will definitely be able to find out all the things that you're doing and also be able to dismay some of the excuses as far as time goes for entrepreneurs. So definitely been able to connect with you over here actually at Studio Me because Marlon Woods, who was also on the show, got the opportunity to have an event here at Studio Me. Got the chance to connect with you there, find out about your business, all the things that you're doing in Homewood with Roux Orleans, and also had another event yesterday that we got a chance to connect with. Yeah. Taste the food and everything. You also dropped me off that seafood gumbo one day. Fire. And, I'm definitely looking forward to the people in the city of Pittsburgh of finding about all the things that you're doing. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely appreciate you. So for people who don't know who you are yet, give us your name, your background, and what you are doing with Roux Orleans.
Okay, well, Mike Barnes, born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. Background is definitely cooking. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have some construction background in me, but it was always, the core was always cooking, and that was come from my mom and my grandmother. Well, I could say mostly my grandmother, because she was the one who cooked for everybody for no reason at all, and I kind of like pulled from that.
Mm-hmm. So I know you also said you're a head chef as well. So did you go to like culinary school or anything like that?
Yes. Well, the culinary art school that I've gone to was my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she taught me the whole game and everything. And there's nothing wrong with going to an actual institution. I tried that, but I couldn't really get the kind of teaching, that personal teaching and love that you would put in your food as what my grandmother and my mother taught me. You know, they taught me really like the hard knocks of life, where this is what you're supposed to do, put this much of love in there and just keep it moving.
Right. So, why don't you give us your story a little bit about your upbringing, living in Louisiana and things like that. I'm born and raised here in Pittsburgh, so I know no different. So being able to have other people from different areas to come on and share their experiences is definitely good for not only me, but people watching. So what was your experience like growing up in Louisiana, and also specifically the food?
Well, for me, I grew up in the hood, basically pretty much what some people have grown up in. And then we grew up around just eating Poboys and Gumbo and stuff like that every day. So there's some of that stuff which I brought here to Pittsburgh. I want you guys to experience that. But just growing up, it just, rough, just pretty much a kid, like how you grew up here in Pittsburgh. It's just all the same, football, basketball. I was always a good athlete.
Okay, so you play sports?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Football, basketball, baseball, anything that I can do just to showcase my skills. So I was a beast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were down in Louisiana, did you start cooking at all, like for people, or catering, or what was that like whenever you were there?
Actually, I've gotten a few jobs working in restaurants, just so I kind of like build up those work experience and kind of get more experience from other employers. Said I've done this, I've done that, and even though that I've learned everything that I learned from my grandmother or my mother, I wanted to improve my skills into like the workforce. And so I worked at so many different restaurants, and I mean, I have like 15 plus years in the restaurant business. But I felt like each business could not give me what I wanted. Like I could give the business like exactly what they want, the type of quality food that they want, and just repeat that over and over. But it couldn't give me what I wanted. I wanted to be able to create something else that might can improve that. So I kind of outgrew their business. And so moving here to Pittsburgh, I didn't really have a thought process to say, you know what, I want to do a catering business. I want to create Roux Orleans. Because Roux Orleans, I started that a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've been in Pittsburgh for 4 years. So I started a year and a half ago. And that's only because I couldn't find what I wanted of food here. You know, not saying that the food here is bad. It's just that for me growing up, we grew up around seafood and just certain types of meat that you can't get here. And so I'm spoiled.
Right.
And so I love my seafood. I just love all that because we eat shrimp and grits in the morning, evening, or night. We eat it all day. You know, shrimp, poboy, catfish. We do crawfish boil pretty much all year long. And I started Roux Orleans, and I'm like, you know what? Everything I grew up on, the gumbo, red beans and rice, and crawfish etouffee, shrimp creole, all that stuff, I grew up on. I'm like, well, you know what? Why can I not just give this to people here in Pittsburgh, and even the surrounding areas of Pittsburgh? You know, so I was like, you know what? Let me do this. And I did like a little test, a little mock showcase, and I presented to like a group of the neighborhood, I think in Homewood.
Okay.
And they loved it.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? I think I got something. And then, you know, I looked at the market. So I was like, you know what? Nobody's really doing this.
Right. Not at all.
Yeah. So I said, you know what? I think I got something.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of like put it into other little neighborhoods. And then the other thing, I was just giving away free stuff just to get people to try
the word
it
out.
and hook. Because my seafood gumbo was my flagship of it. I say, man, this is what's going to knock it out the park. But then came along, then come later on, like maybe a month or two later, the crawfish queso dip, which has been killing it.
Oh, yeah.
It's been killing it. So
Yeah.
I just like, you know what? Seafood gumbo, you got to get the back and
because this is what's
move on
popping.
with, and then it's, you know, people really enjoy it, and I enjoy it too. And then that's actually a recipe that no one will ever have the recipe for that, because that's been given down to me from my grandmother, to my mother, and then for me.
Right.
You can have all the other recipes, but you cannot have
That's
that.
the secret sauce right there for you.
Yeah, that's I cannot give that away.
Right.
I would be disowned.
Right.
From the whole family.
Gotcha. So what was it for you for food that made it special or made you want to get into this line of work? Because I know you were saying like your grandmother inspired it and she would serve food to people whenever.
Yeah.
So what was like that special feeling for you that made you want to get into it?
Well, okay, my grandmother had a bar. Right, it was a bar down the bottom, and she lived at the top. So we lived with my grandmother, my sister, and I, and she had a little party, stuff like that, and then she used to cook for people, and she didn't make any money off that. It was just more like she cooked from her heart. And a couple of times at night, I used to sneak down to the bar room and hang out with the older people, which I wasn't supposed to, but I was that kind of kid. But they ate my grandmother's food, and then they really enjoyed it. You know, so I just felt like, man, that's something special. That's something special. And she didn't make any money. I mean, she kind of went out of business because she wasn't really making any money from the food part. And, I mean, she made money on the alcohol side of it. But it was the food part for me that I kind of was like, man, I want that. I want that, just that fulfillment that people get when they eat her food. And so I just kind of watched my grandma and I kind of emulated a lot of stuff that she did, and I kind of asked questions, because I was always a person that asked questions. And besides cooking, I also, background was in sales, so I asked a lot of qualifying questions just so I can know, and my grandmother would be like, boy, shut up. just stop asking questions. And I was like, okay, Grandma, but let me ask you one more thing.
Right.
And so, and once I kind of figured it out. It took me a while to figure out like what she did to get that type of, you know, fulfillment from people. And then I was like, okay, I think I could do it. And then I test that, and then, you know, and the result is what you saw yesterday, and then what you had when I brought you the seafood gumbo. Yeah. And so, and I just, for me, every dish, I just put my heart and soul in it. because like I don't want to give you anything that's just like I just want to exercise my mouth. I just want to just chew. You know, like every time I take a spoonful of anything that I prepare, I want to be like, this is good every single bite, and it just feels good. You know, so I feel like I've done it. You know, I think that my grandmother will be proud. Well, is proud. My mother, she's definitely proud, and she says it all the time. Oh, and I gotta say, Mom, I love you, Wanda Barnes. So couldn't have done this without you. So
shout out to the fam.
I have to say it.
Yes.
She would disown me.
So moving forward a little bit more. So, you know, you got the inspiration for it. And what was the story like whenever you moved up to Pittsburgh? Like, what brought you up to Pittsburgh? And then, because you've been here for 4 years. And so what brought you here? And then what have you been doing also in that time frame before you actually got to the point of starting New Orleans?
Well, my wife moved up here because she worked from a developing firm. And she was up here a year before I moved up here. And so I said, well, we talked about it before she moved up here. And I was like, I don't know anything about Pittsburgh. And I'm all about opportunity. So I said, well, you know what, go ahead. And then let me finish up some stuff down here in New Orleans. And then my son and I, we moved up here. And so when I moved up here, it's like, okay, I don't know anybody. Well, I knew her, you know, my wife, and I knew 2 other people that was from her job, and so they were kind of connected. And so, you know, I moved up, and then, you know, I had a little 9-to-5 job in construction, and then I kind of created my own construction business because I also have a little, you know, construction background. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do that, and then, it worked well. But then within a lot of you know construction business, it kind of like fell off. So I'm just like, well, I can't sit around and do nothing. So I'm always figure out a way to find money.
Right.
And so I just actually I was in a restaurant that I would not name. Okay. And then I sat there and I was like eating. I was like, man, I'm still hungry. I didn't really enjoy this. And then I was like, man, I gotta do something. I gotta find some money, this and that. And then all of a sudden I was like, I can sell food. You know, I can do that. Like all the stuff I grew up on and stuff that I'm passionate about, and then what I've, you know, what was shown to me from my grandmother and from my mother, I said, man, I could just duplicate that, just emulate their whole process. That's how, and that's when I did that whole mock little section of like just giving them with food away and get people to try it. And then New Orleans,
that's awesome.
You know, came to be.
Well, that's good stuff.
I'm actually excited to see where it will be in the near future, but you know, that's just going to be. Sometimes I have some plans. Okay,
yeah. Well, we definitely gonna talk about those plans for sure. Yeah. So in getting it started for New Orleans, and for people that may be watching that, maybe entrepreneurs and wanting to get into the food industry and maybe want to start a business of their own. For you, what were some of the challenges or struggles that you may have faced in the beginning of getting this off the ground?
Well, some of the challenge that I said was, I encountered was, well, people really like this because people, you know, kind of like they stick with what they know. You know, they're not really, because I tried ray beans and rice here, right? And not too many people know about ray beans and rice. Like this is something that we grew up on in the South. And I made a huge big batch of ray beans and rice. And out that batch, I had 2 people order it because they know about it.
Right.
And it was hard to really market that, though, so I kind of had to stick with what I know. And so that was my challenge, which figuring out a dish that you are familiar with. And then I can once I get you in, then I can incorporate stuff that you're not familiar with, like the Boudin Balls.
Right.
And
now, what is that? Just real quick, so if you can explain
So Boudin Balls is the meat, like you can choose from chicken, shrimp, crawfish, pork, right? And you mix that up with rice and seasoning, and you just blend it up real fine, and then you can either make it out of a link, or you can just make it into a ball and bread it in and then just deep fry it.
Gotcha.
It's really good.
Okay.
It's really good. So people don't know anything about that, so I don't mind, you know, explaining to you like what it is because it's real good. Like if you don't like pork, that's fine. There's chicken, there's shrimp, and then there's crawfish.
Right. And that's when you kind of had to hit with the crawfish queso dip.
Yeah, well, see, you know what? So
now, is that like and you said that's the original recipe that Grandma dropped on you?
Yeah, so, my mom gave it to me, but she had to get approval from my grandmother.
Got to get the signed agreement.
Yeah. So I had to do something. I said, Grandma, can I get the recipe? And she was like, no, baby. So I said, Ma, man, I got to figure out how can I present this to Grandma so I can get it, this and that. So then my grandmother and my mother probably said something. They probably talk or whatever and this and that. Then my grandmother ended up passing because of 2 months after Katrina.
Sorry to hear that.
And so I guess whatever they talked about, I guess she passed on whatever was she supposed to say. And then my mom said, well, your grandmother said such and such, but you have to prove yourself in order for you to have it. So I'm like, but what do you want me to do? She said, well, I can't tell you that. You have to prove it. I'm like,
you ain't giving me no direction.
Yeah, like I need to know what I have. If you tell me eat lima beans, I'll eat lima beans.
Right.
And I don't even like lima beans.
Right.
So
you just do whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes. So, but I proved to her that I can carry on the legacy of that particular dish, and it can be. And then it's so funny that I wasn't going to put the crawfish queso dip on the menu at all. That came from I had to present something to this company, and they wanted seafood gumbo, jambalaya, and a couple of sandwiches, right? So I'm in the kitchen, and I have the pot, and I put the pot on the counter, right? And then I guess there was like a towel underneath. So I turned and I hit it, and the whole pot of gumbo fell on the floor.
Oh, man.
And so I'm like literally like an hour until I have to present this. So they don't. So I'm like, okay, I have to figure out something. So I say, you know what? I might as well just pull out the crawfish queso dip.
This is the time.
Yeah, and it was a smash hit. A smash hit though. So I said, well, you know what? That gumbo was probably supposed to fall. Because if it wasn't, I probably would have never brought out the queso dip.
Right. It's amazing. That's crazy that you shared that story because I feel like big opportunities come out of situations where you may have failed. And like when you dropped all that gumbo on the floor, it was like, man, what am I going to do? And then you present this, and now it's like a big hit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Man, I lost it. I was like, man, all this gumbo. It's everywhere. So I mean, I think that it was like you say, it was supposed to happen. But I was mad.
Yeah. And in the moment for sure.
Yeah.
But afterwards, yeah.
Oh yeah, like once I walked out of the boardroom and after they had it, I'm dancing in the hallway. Somebody come out, I'm like, yeah, like that.
Right. right. But that's awesome. And then so you've been able to connect with some businesses and be able to do catering and things like that for them and stuff like that. So what were some other things that you may have faced, or what's some maybe good advice that you wish you had or known before you actually got started that maybe it giving you a better experience going into it?
I think I wish I had a mentor.
Okay.
For sure. I wish I had. But then I kind of look at it, you know what? I do have a mentor, which is life. My life lessons and my success and failures has been my, life lessons. I kind of, like, at this point now, for what I know, I'm kind of glad that I personally didn't have a mentor because I've got so much information just from me doing the work myself than somebody telling me this is what you got to do because they done already did the legwork and stuff like that. So, but for me now, I still mentor other people, but my process is, okay, you're going to still do the legwork, but I'm going to just nudge you in this particular area. I'm not going to give you the information.
Right.
I'm going to just nudge you over there, and based on what I feel in you that you're, confident enough to actually figure it out, then okay, yeah, go ahead. But I do wish I had a mentor. Just for that feel of like somebody actually cares.
Right.
And so, but a lot of people was like, well, probably intimidated of me, threatened, of like I might take their business. And I'm like, what's that intimidated about me? I'm just 6'2", 305 pounds.
Right.
You know, little old me.
Of teddy bear.
Yeah, you know, I give out hugs, you know, internet hugs, high fives.
Right. Right. Show some love to some people.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, come on now. I just want information.
Right.
And I use the information that I have, especially what I've learned. But I wish I had a mentor.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, mentorship is definitely important because it's good to have because there's somebody in life where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And they've already blazed the trail. They already walked the path. They already put in the legwork. And if you're able, and I remember Marlon Woods actually said something really good. A mentor is a guide. Mm-hmm. They figure out where you are and where they're at, and they just kind of navigate you to where you could be, mm-hmm. or and maybe even potentially should be, if that's what you are called to do. So mm-hmm. having a mentor is definitely highly important because they can get you through the minefield and with a smoother experience. Right. So, you know, from what I've learned from, you know, books that I've read and people that I've associated with, those are also good tools as far as mentorship goes as well. Because if you don't know someone personally that may be a physical presence, you can also read good books on right. maybe restaurants or people that maybe already blazed that trail and learn from their experiences too.
Yeah.
So moving forward, where would you say is like some really good advice that you would maybe give to an entrepreneur that maybe wants to get into the restaurant business, maybe get into food, and maybe even do catering in their specific line of food? What's maybe some good advice that you maybe give to an entrepreneur that maybe want to do it?
Basically, know your market, know who you want to sell to, and most importantly, know your product. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can not say this over and over and over. If you barely know what you're selling or barely know your product, then you're not going to get any money or you're going to barely get money. Mm-hmm. And so, and it makes you look stupid talking about your product if you don't know anything about your product.
Right.
Like, you couldn't tell me anything about my product, about the gumbo, about the crawfish etouffee,
right.
Poboys, because I know everything about it mm-hmm. because I grew up on it.
Right.
Like, this is not anything that I went to school and I kind of learned it, and then you know how like you don't go to school for a while and then you kind of forget what you learned. Mm-hmm. I cannot, because this has been instilled into me from birth.
Yeah.
You know, so I know everything about my product, mm-hmm. and so the best thing is to know your product, know who you're selling it to, mm-hmm. you know, and just motivate yourself to want to do more. Mm-hmm. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing your product, knowing the market, so that they just find out if you even have a market for it. Testing, you know, you got to test and learn, experiment with different things, maybe spill some stuff on the floor on purpose. Look. And be like, and create something else. Maybe you get a spark of inspiration.
Right. But I clearly think that you have to be excited about what you're doing, mm-hmm. because I genuinely love what I do because I like the end product. Uh-huh. I like when I make it and I look at it based on smell, taste, and even texture. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is ready for me because I'm all about quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. I just can't give you just a quantity amount of food and then I'm just like here because I know I'm not satisfied. Just like how the andouille sausages back home in New Orleans is different from the andouille sausage here in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. I know the difference. You might not know the difference.
Not at all.
But I know the difference, and so I say, you know what? I'm going to give the people here in Pittsburgh what I had when I growing up. So I can't give you that if I give you Pittsburgh sausage, which there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
It's good, but from home, it tastes totally different. So I want you to taste the food like how I grew up on. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I've been doing from start all the way up to now. Mm-hmm. And even, you know, further in the future, it's still going to be consistent.
Right. Give people a taste of New Orleans here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I got you. So kind of some rapid questions real quick. So what is maybe like one of your favorite menus on your menu?
Personally?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
he's like, I might be biased.
Look. Yeah, look. I don't want to be biased and somebody listening talking about, he lying.
Well, I'll tell you, Miles, real quick. The seafood gumbo, bomb, and also the crawfish queso, definitely fire. Those are definitely good.
Well, I'm a type of person that I got to be in the mood for something, right? But I can eat all that at one time. Mm-hmm. You know, like when I went back home for Essence, I bought a 32-inch po' boy, shrimp po' boy.
Mm-hmm. And I need to try one of those.
And I ate all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
That's a pretty big sandwich.
Yeah, and not just like, I ate it, and I ate it like this because I didn't want anybody.
Right.
I didn't want can I have a piece? I'm like, no, go buy your own.
Right.
This is for me. Mm-hmm. But I say the gumbo, the shrimp and grits, when I make that for catering stuff, the jambalaya, I mean, all of that is my favorite. That's why I had to break the whole menu down to what I really, really, really will want to eat all day. All day for different occasions.
Right.
Like your gumbo, that's mostly for like those cold days, right? Like, because it's about to get cold pretty soon. And so you get some gumbo and you just sit there and you just like, oh man, the heat from the gumbo and just a little kick will also just would keep me warm. So there's an item on the menu for all kind of occasions. You know, po' boy could be your comfort food. Right. You know, feeling sad. And you'd be happy at the same time.
Yeah. It's funny. I had a shrimp po' boy. I'm not gonna name the restaurant, but I can already tell like that was not. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I can already tell yours is probably 10 times better.
Look, man. I'm telling you.
So what does a traditional or authentic shrimp po' boy? What's all the ingredients that normally go into that, should go into it? So obviously shrimp.
So no. Well, for shrimp and hot sausage, which I get that from home. You can't get that up here. And then the catfish. Okay. Right? So it's going to always be the lettuce, shredded lettuce, tomatoes, cheese if you want cheese, and whatever meat like the shrimp, the catfish, and the hot sausage. Okay. On French. Okay. On French for po' boy. Okay. And then they have the regular on bun, which is bun. You can just use any bun. But when you say po' boy, it's on French.
Gotcha.
No other bread but French. If it's not on French, it's not a po' boy. It's something else. Right. You know, you can name it yourself. You can call it a freeze boy. Right. You know, something.
Yeah. So okay. We learned it a little bit. We gonna definitely get a taste of this some more. So for the future, where do you see Roux Orleans going in, let's say, the next 2 to 5 years? What's the big goal? What's the big picture?
So the big goal, the big picture plan is a restaurant, which we're working on one right now here on the east side. So my plan for Roux Orleans is for it to be on the east side, south side, and on the north side. So everybody can have literally a taste of New Orleans. So you don't have to be on the south side and travel all the way on the east side, especially on the days where there's traffic, just to get some good food. Right. So if you are on the south side, you just go straight on over there. You don't even have to go across the river. Right. Get on the highway, or you guys call it the parkway. The parkway, yeah. But they're highway markers, but we're not going to talk about that.
That's another topic.
All right.
But the first location you're looking to have, you said in Homewood, right?
Homewood.
Okay. And when is that looking to be in development?
That's looking next year. So maybe around this time next year, or maybe September. It just depends on construction, because we're kind of like ironing out the beginning process of everything. Okay. Yeah. So even, so from your perspective, because you're right in the thick of things right now, what has the process been like for that, trying to create a brick and mortar restaurant? What's that process been like for you so far? I mean, it's been challenging, but it's just like with anything, like buying a house or buying a car, buying a house, especially if you got to deal with other people, or building a house, you just got to deal with, permits and people itself, because people don't want to do their job, and you got to hound them. So, and just kind of collaborating with the architects, engineers to make sure that everything is right. But for me, it has to be perfect for me, because I might have this one drawn out like site plan or kitchen plan design, floor plan, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna go with this, and then I sleep on it, and then the next day I'm like, I don't like none of that. I don't like it. Let's go with this. because I'm like, it has to be right. It has to be right because in the kitchen here in Homewood, once it's done, we're gonna have 2 kitchens. So one kitchen for regular day hours, and then another kitchen that we're gonna rent out for space for other catering companies who wants to use our space so they can cater and do their stuff from our kitchen. So we'll be able to provide that for surrounding catering, especially if they're like caterers that's in Homewood that have to go across town just to use other facilities. They can just come right there.
And what facility are you using right now? Because you do provide also not only catering, but you also do deliver food and things like that.
Right.
So where do you house most of your stuff right now?
Well, right now we house our stuff with. There's actually a building not so far from here, in East Liberty, and we have our office hours there from 7 to 9, and we do all our catering stuff and delivering stuff and regular office hour orders from out there. So, and that's one of the big things that we wanted for the second kitchen, because we've gone through so many different challenges there at that commercial kitchen that I said to myself, well, I feel like that was a problem, and I want to address the problem. So I said, well, I have a solution. I said, well, if I'm going through this, who says everybody else not going through this? Or maybe 4 or 5 or 6 other caterers is going the exact same thing. So we're going to have a space just for caterers, and you're not going to go through that whole process that's like double booking or not even putting you on a schedule and stuff like that.
So what were some of the other challenges that you faced in that space? One of the things you said, double booking. What were some of the other things that people may run into?
Cleanliness, cross-contamination.
From other people?
Yeah, so that's a big thing, because when we get into the kitchen, the first thing we do, we just sterilize everything. It might look clean, but I'm going to have the thought process, you know what? I don't know anybody who came. I don't know anyone who came before me, so I'm going to just sterilize everything, because like we have events where we might have a customer that has an allergy, a gluten allergy, a shellfish allergy, nut allergy, and some of the stuff that we use, like for example, one guy, he has a gluten allergy, and we have to make sure we wipe down every single thing that we use in there. Well, we don't. Only thing that we use is the equipment that we bring in, like the pots and stuff like that. So I do my best not to use anything that's already there, but we still sterilize like the counter and make sure that something might touch the counter, anything that's transferable. So we don't want to do the cross-contamination.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah, so we make sure that that's completely out the room.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Those are definitely good ideas and some good solutions to be able to have in your own place and be able to actually be able to lead the charge on that and fix that solution, have that solution for that. And then also, I actually just thought of another good topic that we could talk about is actually catering, because you do focus on a lot of catering. What's that process like as far as like, putting it together before the event? What, how do you do your ordering? How do you find events? Like, what's that process like? And then after event as well.
Well, that's kind of a weird process, because it just depends on the customer. So like we have an event yesterday. We had an event yesterday. That was kind of like something that Bernard and we sat down and talked with Tina. She's my director of operations, and we kind of like, he was like, well, just do whatever. So when you give me the platform, do whatever, I'm like, okay, fine. I got you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I say everybody, like, I got you. And we put it off. So the event that we're going to have tomorrow is similar to that, but I'm going to use a different platform, because I got to figure out the menu. I got to figure out how I'm going to present this based on the demographics. And if it's something that's more of an intimate, like a boardroom meeting, they, those things that, have to address with like qualifying questions, like, what type of setting it is, or just basically just finding out those questions so I can prepare the dish for them for their meetings, or if it's a wedding, that's more of a sit down one-on-one, so I know exactly what they want based on the number of people, and then give them a price.
Awesome. And then what's it like afterwards? And like, I don't know, like cleaning or anything like that? Do you do anything unique or?
No, it's pretty much like a simple breakdown of it, and then,
Gotcha.
and then just bring everything back to the catering kitchen so we can clean everything, sterilize everything, and put everything in the van, and take it back to storage.
Okay, cool. All right, well, there's definitely some good insight there for sure. And then as we get closer to wrapping up, so for anybody that wants to get in contact with Roux Orleans or you and, get a chance to try some of this amazing food, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
You can check our Facebook page or the Instagram, Roux Orleans, and on Facebook is Roux Orleans Catering. Or you can just call us, 412-519-9550.
Okay. And you got a website as well, too?
Yeah. So that's RouxCatering.com.
Okay. Awesome. Good stuff. And then last question to wrap up the episode. What is a 24-hour challenge that you would propose to the audience that they can take effective action on within the next 24 hours?
I say know yourself. Know, like if you want a business or whatever, right? And you want to like challenge yourself to want to start a business. And you might say, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to find some permits, this and that. That's fine. That's the process of that. But work on yourself. Know yourself, work on yourself, because that's the big challenge. Because if you know you lazy, personally, and your business pretty much is going to kind of be lazy on some degree, some particular area, but that's going to affect your business somewhere or form. But if you work on yourself, because yourself, I look at yourself as a business, because you carry around yourself every day, you present yourself a certain way, so people will perceive you the way how you present yourself. If you're lazy, everybody will be like, oh man, Freeze is lazy.
That's definitely not the case.
Oh no! You're a hard working man. You work harder than me.
Well, that's a big compliment. I try my best.
Yeah. So, and I work hard.
We all trying to maximize on our 24 hours as much as possible.
But work on yourself. Challenge yourself every day. Just like set up goals just for yourself personally, and then perfect that every day, and then take it from here into business, because the business will be a large part of you, so it's just like it's going to reflect who you are, because you can't be like, okay, well, I'm lazy, but I want to do a successful business,
right?
And then if people already know that you perceive you as lazy, they're not going to support that,
right? So
challenge yourself first, challenge yourself of being a good person, and being a productive good person, and know who you are, because they got people out here that don't even know who they are.
Right.
They say, oh, my name is Mike Barnes, so that's it. Well,
what makes you unique?
Yeah,
what makes you special?
So
what makes you you?
Right. And half the people don't even know because they don't work with themselves. They can say their name. They can say, oh, I like candy, or I like Poboys, or whatever. But that does not make you you. That does not challenge you.
Absolutely.
And also, the people that you surround yourself with.
That's powerful right there.
Because if you surround yourself with, unsavory characters, then that's going to affect you. And especially if you're trying to work on yourself, because that's going to distract you from working on yourself.
Right. Absolutely. Well, there it is. That's the 24-hour challenge right there. Well, definitely appreciate you for being on the show, brother. Definitely appreciate the conversation as well. I can't wait until you get the brick and mortar place. I can't wait till you get your spot open, because we should definitely do a follow-up episode.
Yeah.
And see how everything is going.
I'm excited. I probably would have more gray hair, by then, stressing over this though. But you know what?
It's good stress.
Look, I say to myself all the time, my mom always tell me, she say, boy, you need to get some rest. I say, Ma, I can't. I can't. Like, I feel like I have to be the most stressful person on the team, because I got to make sure that my workers, everybody that's,
they see you putting in the work.
Yeah, well, not just that, because they're going to push hard because they see me pushing hard, but I like to be like, I like to tell them, relax, chill out. You know, don't overwork yourself because I need you for this. Because if you, you know, are tired or whatever, then you can't perform to your full capacity. So I'm just like, relax, like, let me stress. I got this. Don't worry. I'm going to move this over here. I got this. Or I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I try to be more helpful to them than they are to me. And, I mean.
That's a good serve. I mean, you got a good serving attitude. I mean, you're looking to serve other people. So that's a good attitude to have.
I mean, since I am the owner and the boss, I don't work for myself anymore. I work for them.
Right.
So now I feel like I'm an employee because, you know, I have to make sure that we have contracts, we have jobs, so they can feed their family. So once I have that one employee, that first my first employee, I turn into an employee because I work for them. Because without me, they won't have a job. So that's why I work the way I work.
I got you.
And, you know, I work for you guys because I want everybody in Pittsburgh to try the food.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we definitely want everybody in Pittsburgh to be able to try the food. Definitely be able to try the seafood gumbo, the crawfish queso dip. All of it is definitely amazing. So definitely appreciate you for being on the show. So now that we know what Mike does with his 24 hours, he definitely laid down a good challenge. So definitely make sure you comment down below. And if you could comment down below on what you think makes you you or you unique, I think that would definitely be a good starting point for sure. So definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, like it as well, and we will see you on the next episode.